What if the man you believed was chosen by God turned out to be running a $50 million cult, built on fraud, slavery, and manipulation? That's exactly what investigators say happened with David E. Taylor, and his shocking arrest has rocked the religious world. But this story isn't just about one fallen leader. It's about blind faith, power, and how lives were destroyed under the guise of religion. Do you believe justice is finally being served? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and share this video so more people can see the truth. The arrest of David E. Taylor has sent shockwaves across the religious world. For years, he presented himself as a prophet, a healer, and a leader who claimed to speak directly with God. His ministry attracted thousands of loyal followers, many of whom gave up their money, their careers, and in some cases, even their families, in hopes of being part of something greater. But behind the scenes, investigators say something far darker was taking place. According to federal authorities, Taylor's so-called church was nothing more than a front for a $50 million operation, built on manipulation, financial fraud, and what some are now calling modern-day slavery. Born in the 1970s, David E. Taylor grew up in a modest background, far from the luxury he later surrounded himself with. According to his own accounts, he experienced a life-changing vision of Jesus Christ as a teenager. He claimed that this encounter transformed his life and set him on a divine mission. That story became the foundation of his ministry, and over time, it would be repeated, dramatized, and broadcast to thousands of believers who saw him as chosen. David E. Taylor didn't rise to prominence overnight. He started in small gatherings, delivering fiery, emotional sermons laced with promises of miracles, supernatural healings, and direct encounters with God. His charisma was magnetic, his confidence unshakable. By the early 2000s, he had officially launched the Joshua Media Ministries International JMMI to the public eye. It appeared to be a thriving spiritual movement dedicated to prayer, revival, and spreading the gospel. But behind the polished image, former members say it functioned more like a cult where Taylor's word was law, and questioning him was unthinkable. Through televised sermons, glossy conferences, and slick promotional campaigns, Taylor built the persona of a modern-day prophet. He claimed to have face-to-face meetings with Jesus and even journeys into heaven. These weren't just spiritual testimonies, they were marketing weapons. For people desperate for hope and healing, the chance to connect with someone who supposedly had a direct line to God was irresistible. As the movement grew, so did the money. Donations poured in from struggling families scraping together small offerings, to wealthy believers giving away life savings, retirement accounts, even homes. This loyalty gave Taylor immense power and funded his lavish lifestyle of luxury. Cars, designer suits, private mansions, and first-class indulgence. The FBI's interest began to take shape as allegations grew. Once millions of dollars are involved, and once vulnerable people are allegedly being exploited, federal authorities start paying attention. The cracks in Taylor's empire began to show when brave former members started speaking out. According to multiple reports, whispers of abuse inside Joshua Media Ministries International had circulated for years. Former followers described being overworked, manipulated, and forced into silence through fear of divine punishment. For the longest time, these testimonies were ignored. After all, Taylor was a charismatic figure with thousands of loyal supporters who dismissed any criticism as persecution against a man of God. That all changed when whistleblowers decided they could no longer remain silent. Some had spent years inside the ministry, giving up everything they owned and cutting ties with their families. When they left, they carried scars not just emotional and spiritual, but financial as well. They claimed they had been stripped of their money, their independence, and even their sense of self-worth. One former member testified that she was forced to work 16-hour days cleaning, cooking, and even doing manual labor for Taylor's properties without a paycheck. Another claimed that she was pressured to hand over her bank accounts and told that keeping money for herself was disobedience to God. These allegations painted a horrifying picture of life inside the ministry. A young woman in her 20s recalled how she was recruited through promises of spiritual growth, She was told she'd be part of a special inner circle chosen to bring revival. But soon after joining, her dream turned into a nightmare. She worked long days without pay, her life consumed by servitude. "We weren't volunteers," she said. "We were slaves in the name of God." Another man testified that after joining the ministry, he was pressured to sell his house and donate the proceeds. He was promised that God would reward his sacrifice 100-fold. Years later, he found himself homeless and penniless, while Taylor flaunted luxury cars and million-dollar mansions. The manipulation went beyond finances. Families were deliberately severed. Followers were told that outsiders, including parents, siblings, and children, were demonic influences meant to pull them away from God's purpose. One mother broke down in tears describing how her daughter refused to speak to her, claiming that God through Taylor had instructed her to cut ties. The psychological pressure was overwhelming. Followers were publicly shamed for questioning Taylor, told they would go to hell for disobedience, and warned that leaving the ministry meant losing God's protection. Meanwhile, Taylor's personal life stood in stark contrast. He indulged in designer clothing, luxury trips, and gourmet dining, all while his followers lived in poverty. For investigators, the testimonies painted a devastating picture. What should have been a place of faith and community had become a system of exploitation, where loyalty was demanded, sacrifice was exploited, and disobedience was punished. The FBI soon uncovered where all the money was going. Court filings and leaked financial documents revealed that millions in donations were being siphoned into luxury spending. The ministry owned a fleet of luxury cars, Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, Bentleys, and even a Rolls-Royce. Multiple real estate properties were discovered, including lavish mansions with private theaters, pools, and high-end security systems. Designer clothing was another major expense. Records suggested Taylor had a taste for custom-tailored suits, designer shoes, and accessories worth thousands of dollars each. Insiders claimed he spent tens of thousands annually on his wardrobe. Testimonies even revealed indulgences such as spa treatments, cosmetic enhancements, and expensive steakhouse dinners costing thousands of dollars, again, all charged to the ministry. Investigators also discovered suspicious international transfers, with large sums moved offshore. The discrepancies between what JMMI reported to the IRS and what Taylor was actually spending painted a damning picture. What looked like a faith-based nonprofit was, in reality, a shell organization funneling tax-free donations into personal wealth. One heartbreaking testimony came from an elderly woman who admitted she gave away her retirement fund, convinced by Taylor's promises of divine blessing. Instead, she ended up bankrupt, relying on relatives for survival. Meanwhile, Taylor was photographed stepping out of luxury cars in designer suits, smiling as if nothing was wrong. By the time the FBI finalized their investigation, the picture was clear. David E. Taylor's ministry wasn't a house of worship, it was a house of exploitation, with millions unaccounted for, testimonies mounting, and allegations of slavery-like conditions. Federal authorities knew they had enough evidence to act. The arrest itself came quietly, but its impact was thunderous. Early one morning, federal agents surrounded one of Taylor's lavish residences. Neighbors recalled black SUVs pulling up, agents in jackets marked FBI, and the sight of David E. Taylor being let out in handcuffs. For years, he presented himself as untouchable, a man chosen by God above earthly authority. Now he was reduced to just another defendant. Court documents revealed the charges were extensive: wire fraud, tax evasion, labor trafficking, and conspiracy. Prosecutors painted a damning picture of Taylor as the mastermind of a decades-long scheme that weaponized faith to control and exploit the vulnerable. If convicted, he could face decades behind bars, potentially spending the rest of his life in prison. And most importantly, how do we protect vulnerable people from falling into the same traps again? So, what's your take? Was David E. Taylor just a master manipulator in religious clothing? Or does this scandal reveal something even deeper about blind faith and unchecked power? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if this investigation opened your eyes, don't forget to smash that like button, Hit subscribe for more hard-hitting stories. And share this video with others because spreading awareness is the first step to stopping history from repeating itself. Thanks for watching. Asterisk.